Hey, DJ.
What's going on, Wes?
Hey, man, did you know Jeff Forrester served on Wylie City Council for 9 years, including 6 as mayor pro tem? That's longer than most kids are in elementary school.
I don't even know what I was doing 9 years ago. That's wild.
Well, look, listen, Wylie doesn't just grow in population, it grows great leaders.
That's good.
Yeah. Hello, friends, and welcome to the Live, Love, Wylie podcast, hosted by Wes Dorsey and DJ Shirley. Connecting people in the city we live and love. All right, DJ, we got a great episode today, and we got some big news. So stay tuned for the end of the podcast. We got some gigantic news that we're going to drop here today. But we got Mr. Jeff Forrester in the studio with us today. Welcome, Jeff.
Good morning. Thank you, Wes.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just jump right into it. What we like to do is we like to get to know our guests. We like the audience to get to know you. So tell us about yourself. Where did you grow up, and how did you get to Wylie?
Sure. So I grew up in the Dallas area. I went to school through high school in Dallas. Then I joined the military, left Dallas and left Texas.
Yeah.
Made my way in the Navy all around the world. You know, they say, you want to see the world, join the Navy. So I did. Wound up in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, through the Middle East, back over to the East Coast, where I met my wife, Julie. I separated from the Navy in 1994. I was medically discharged. Or retired.
Retired.
Yep. So we came back to Texas in 94. Julie and I were married in 95. And then we settled down in the Plano area. We had a business in Plano. We were there probably about 9 or 10 years. Moved to Rowlett, which was interesting.
Yeah.
You leave Collin County, move to Dallas County, you don't stay long. We moved from Rowlett to Wylie in 2011. So we've been in Wylie for 14 years. And the genesis behind that move was that we literally spent all of our time in Wylie.
Really?
Yeah. When we lived in Rowlett, we came across to Wylie to do it. We shopped in Wylie. Our friends lived in Wylie. We started going to Boots and Barbecue with the ISD and supporting the public schools in Wylie. And our kids were in Garland schools. And we saw a huge difference between the two. So we started looking for a home in Wylie. We moved to Wylie, put the kids in Wylie schools, and never looked back.
Wow, that's like it was meant to be, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's awesome. So, what inspired you to first run for Wylie City Council back in 2016?
I came from a place of servant leadership. And when we moved to Wylie, we fell in love with the city. And I just thought, you know what, how can I give back to the city of Wylie? A friend of mine reached out and said, hey, you should run for the city council. You've got a great head on your shoulders. You listen to people. You love people well. So Julie and I talked about it, and we talked about it, and she said, I don't know about this. It's awful public. But we prayed about it and decided that we were going to follow God's choice for our life, and it wound up being to run for the city council.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you've had a long, I guess, I wouldn't say career, but a long term there with the city council. Kind of give it a little background. So, how long does each term last for the city council people?
So each council member has a 3-year term.
Okay.
So from the date of election, you serve 3 years, and the council members are staggered. So for 2 cycles, it's 2 council members. And for the 3rd cycle, 3 council members, which includes a mayor and 2 council members will be running.
Okay, so you served 3 terms.
Correct.
That's awesome. So how did your role evolve over the 9 years of service, and especially during your 6 years as mayor pro tem? And kind of maybe talk about, what is mayor pro tem, and because a lot of people may not understand what that is.
Sure. So mayor pro tem is basically like the vice mayor. If the mayor, for any reason, is traveling out of town and decisions have to be made on a city level, then I would step in, run meetings, meet with developers, meet with people on behalf of the city when the mayor's not available.
Gotcha. And all those positions, all the city council positions, including the mayor, are all volunteer positions and they're unpaid. So most everybody on the council has a day job, right? And so conflicts do arise at times.
Sure. There is a $250 stipend paid to council members, and I believe the mayor's is $400, which helps cover some of the fuel and costs of printing, et cetera, for driving around and looking at the projects.
Yeah.
Because it's more than just showing up on the first and third or second and fourth Tuesdays of each month. There's a lot of interaction with constituents and interaction with developers and people who are doing business in our city to do the job right.
Right. Yeah, you see on social media, you see the mayor all over the place, right? And so he's taking time out of his work day or whatever, and doing his mayor duties. And the same thing for city council, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's we each had a full-time job, and in addition to that job, we take on the job of representing constituents.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that those are volunteer positions, right? And you guys are doing it out of your love for the city and what, looking out what's best for the city.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's representation. Our city council is not by district. We all serve at large. So we're serving on behalf of the 70,000 people that live in Wylie and the decisions that we make for the entirety of Wylie, not just a certain area or a certain group of people.
Right. So that leads me to another question. So when you first got on city council back in 2016, do you remember what the city population was?
Oh, I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it was in the 30,000 range.
So we've gone from 30,000 to 70,000 in the last 9 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge growth.
That's amazing growth, and it's amazing to see. With that growth comes a requirement for infrastructure, the requirement for quality of life items like dog parks and splash pads and senior center upgrades, et cetera.
Exactly. So can you share a specific moment when you had to balance differing viewpoints on the council and how you navigated that?
Sure. I think a lot of the times when we're looking at projects, regardless of what the project is, we're balancing different viewpoints because not everybody loves everything that we do in the city council. So when you're looking at a development, for instance, neighbors come out and say, hey, I don't want that in my neighborhood. That's not, I don't want that in my backyard.
Right.
But at the same time, we look at the project and say, does it benefit the greater of the good? Is it beneficial to the city to have that development there, not only on a tax basis, but on the basis of what's right and what's good for all of the people in Wylie?
Right. And some of the bigger developments and bigger corporations that moved into Wylie, it adds an additional tax base that helps with the infrastructure and dog parks and splash pads and stuff like that. So I know there was, the development seems to be moving out towards Levon, out 78 that way. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of new stuff going out or has recently been built out there. And there was I saw some initial opposition to some things, but again, to your point, we got to look at it as the greater good for the community, right?
Right. And I think one of the items that really stands out in my mind is the Jericho Village project.
Okay.
It's an Agape Ministries project over off of Brown, and it is a place to help move people or move women specifically from a position of living in a shelter after a domestic issue into being able to integrate back into society. They go through training, they offer childcare, but they help them find jobs and get them back onto their feet, give them training within their finances to help them become self-sufficient and get back to where they can move from that facility to another. In addition to those ladies, the housing there will be set based on income. So we're providing a facility, Agape is providing a facility in Jericho Village that will allow for people to move into Wylie when all we hear is how expensive the homes are and how much it costs to live here. We're balancing that with a great, wholesome environment for families to come together and people within a community to come together and be part of a village.
Yeah, so let's talk about Jericho Village for a minute. It's a new development? Is it open yet, or is it being developed?
So it is a new development. They broke ground about 4 months ago.
Okay.
And the first 3 or 4 buildings are already vertical, and they're putting roofs on them and doing the external right now. They had an event out there 2 weeks ago on Saturday to bless the village. So where people came in and wrote scripture on some of the internal structures to bless the families that would be living there in the future.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, so what's the estimated completion of that?
You know what? You know how construction is, and we were talking earlier about how much rain we've gotten lately.
There's a lot of rain.
So there's been some construction delays, but I would look for the first few buildings to be completed by early 2026.
Okay.
Or the buildings to be completed by the end of this year, but really to see the meat of the project completed in 2026.
So that's a great point to bring up. And if any of our listeners are in that position to where they would need something like the Jericho Village, is there information online that they can find that?
Yes, you'd have to Google Jericho Village or Agape Ministries, and Agape Ministries is out of Plano. Janet Collinsworth is their CEO, and she does a fabulous job of communication. So
Awesome. So maybe we can get DJ to link that down below when we get this thing posted. All right. So that's great news. So to move on, what guiding principles do you rely on when making tough decisions affecting Wylie?
that's a good question.
Yeah.
So we have the opportunity to look at tough decisions from multiple avenues. I'm very deep in my faith, and I look at things from a perspective of my faith, of the United States Constitution, and of the state of Texas Constitution. And those three things are guiding principles behind everything that I do, in addition to feedback from my constituents. I think the most important part of a job when you're a servant leader, when you work in a position in government, is to be sure that you're recognizing the voices that put you into office. So every 3 years when the election comes up, it's a job interview.
Right.
You're going back out to the constituency to ask them, hey, did I do what you wanted me to do? Are you pleased with the job that I'm performing? And if so, I'd like to do this again for you.
Yeah. So how do you go about that? Do you owe town halls? Do you owe meetings where people can come in and talk to you about stuff like that?
Sure. I think one of the things we do, or that I did, was reach out to community leaders, those people who have a voice in the community, that have a lot of circle of influence, because they're the ones people are going to call and say, hey, you need to call somebody and tell them about this.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that it's been a privilege and a blessing to serve the people of Wylie, because they are not quiet. If there's an issue, I get an email, I get a text message, I get a phone call, and I welcome them, because accessibility is so important when you're a public servant. You've got to hear from people and understand what's going on.
Right. That's that feedback loop that's so important in anything that you do. And yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of passionate people that love Wylie, that are passionate about, the direction that the city's going. Wylie's a special place. I mean, I think it just draws certain people here that come and then they just never leave. Like I've been here 25 years. I moved here right after my daughter was born, and we just haven't left. Right. We just love it that much, right? So, and I think a lot of people are that way, and they can get passionate about different things, but providing that direct access to people and the community leaders is critical in that, right?
Sure. And we live in Wylie. I mean, the people that are on the council and the mayor, we live in Wylie. So it's not unusual to go to Kroger and be walking through the aisles of the grocery store and somebody stop me and ask a question about what's going on, what's being built on what corner, or give me input on what they heard from a meeting, or ask questions. Yeah. And that's great. And I like that, because it really does give people an opportunity to approach a city official or a state official and ask questions, and not be encumbered by, oh, they're not going to listen to me, or they don't really care. Right. But it gave us an opportunity to have good dialogue and then explain why we're doing what we're doing.
Absolutely. So you were recognized for your commitment to public safety. What key projects or improvements are you most proud of in that area?
I think the recovery after 2016, when we had the hailstorm that obliterated our public safety building out on 78, to get that back up, open, operating, update the technology inside the building, provide more space for fire rescue, police, and our court system, was super important. And at the same time, I don't want to discount Fire Station number 4. Yeah. Fire Station number 4, to allow for quicker reaction times, has been a phenomenal addition to the city. And I think those two things, when it comes to public safety and ensuring that our fire and rescue and our police department are adequately compensated for their efforts to maintain best of service.
Right. And I think a lot of people don't understand, as we grow in population, we need more fire stations, right? Because you have, and as Wylie spreads out and you get more, houses everywhere. I think there's some kind of requirement. You got to have a fire station within X amount of miles to cover each area, right?
Sure, there's a requirement to maintain our ISO 1 rating, which is saturation amongst rooftops and businesses.
Yeah.
And I don't know the exact number,
Yeah.
but I can tell you that our police chief, Anthony Henderson, and our fire chief, Brandon Blythe, have done a phenomenal job to project into the future with the growth pattern of our city and ensure that we're not looking back or we're not trying to catch up. We're not racing to catch up. They do a great job of during budget season and all year long coming back and making sure that we know where we are, where we're projected to be, and that we have adequate coverage.
Shout out Chief Blythe and Chief Henderson. Yep, they do a great job. We got to have them in here at some point. So during your tenure, how did you promote community engagement and volunteerism? And are there moments that really stand out in those areas?
So I think volunteerism within the city is so important. As we've discussed, hearing back from constituents is great, but people wanting to take part in activities within the city by serving on boards and commissions and actually jumping into the fray and becoming part of the solution of what's going on in Wylie is very important. And we have so many opportunities of boards and commissions within the city where citizens can come and participate and sit on these boards, sit on these commissions and give direction and guidance that benefits the city council. I sat as the chairman for the interview panel for 6 years to watch people come and ask to be on a board or commission. And to see those numbers increase as the population increases, we would have, we started at 50 or 60 applicants and the applications come in and they're people from all backgrounds. They have all business backgrounds, all diversity. And it's wonderful to see because they actually want to take part in the governance of our city.
Yeah. So how many committees do we have that really we need volunteers for?
Every committee, every board or commission needs volunteers.
Right.
None of them can exist without the volunteers. There's a staff liaison, but the people in the city are what make the city.
Right. I mean, but there's a lot of committees that need volunteers right now. So if you're thinking about giving back to the community, think about volunteering for one of those committees and get your feet wet in city government and see, you would have the opportunity to take it further in the future. So I assume on the city website, there's a place to apply for the committees, right?
Yes.
Okay. What's the selection process for those people that apply? Because what you said earlier is there's a lot of people that are applying now.
Sure.
As the population grows, we've got more and more applicants. How are those people selected for those committees?
So what happens is, Wes, they come in, they fill out an application, and then they show their areas of interest.
Right.
Which committee would you like to be on? And I highly recommend that if anybody's interested in serving, that they go and look on wylietexas.gov website and see what those committees do, see what their responsibilities are, see when they meet, because we have some that they meet once in a while or as required, and then we have some that meet every month. We have some that meet every month and are very busy. The volunteers put a lot of time into the committees.
Right.
But figure out where it is you want to give back, fill out the form, send it into the city secretary, and then within a month after each election cycle, there is an interview panel. And that interview panel starts looking at resetting the boards and commissions. They all have different terms of service. Some are 2 years, some are 3 years. But it's a way for the everyday citizen that just wants to be involved and just loves a certain aspect of the city. They're passionate about the animal shelter. They're passionate about the arts. They're passionate about the development within the city to give back.
Planning and zoning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is a good avenue for anybody that really wants to give back to the city and get a taste for city government. Wylie's been growing fast. We talked about that earlier. How do you approach challenges around infrastructure, which we touched on earlier, zoning, and thoughtful development?
So one of the things that we did probably 4 years ago was we put together a citizens advisory board for the build out of our city. So they did a comprehensive land plan, and the comprehensive land plan was where we had staff and stakeholders come together and say, hey, this is all of the amount of property we have left in Wylie for development. What are we going to do with it? What would we like to see there? And I think that's important to have feedback, again, from citizens and from staff together, because staff sees what citizens are desiring, and then they can advise on infrastructure, because you can't build something if you can't get to it, and it doesn't make sense to build something if you don't have the utility services that are currently available.
Right. That's I actually got to serve on the Citizens Bond Advisory Committee back several years ago, and that was very interesting. We had Chief Blythe come in and talk about the fire department's needs, and then Parks and Recs and all that stuff. All presenting what they would like for their budgets, and what we should get back to the city council to, as far as our thoughts on what should go into the bond, right?
Absolutely.
So that was a very interesting experience for myself, and I recommend everybody joining some kind of committee or whatever in the future. With the city council approving projects like the age-restricted community near Country Club Road, what factors did you prioritize when evaluating development proposals?
So I think you said it earlier. You moved here 25 years ago. Yeah. You love this city. You're not leaving. My kids have grown up. They've left home. They've gone to college. Now they're doing their own thing. They're raising families. But we don't want to leave. We want to stay here. Mm-hmm. But our house is too big for us now. It's just my wife and I, and we look around and go, where can we go from here and not lose touch with the community that we've grown up to be a part of, that we love being a part of, and that we can give back to over and over again.
Absolutely.
So I think that by looking at that multi-tiered availability, you look at, hey, we've got housing here in town available for new families to come in and put their kids in the greatest schools in Northeast Texas. Then when the kids get up and graduate school, we've got somewhere for those families to go where they can live out the rest of their lives in Wylie and not have to leave. The kids don't even have to leave for a while, because we've got Collin College came, and now it's a 4-year college. So we literally are building a society in Wylie, a community that can continue to feed itself and all of the residents. And that's so important, that we're not running people off. We're not saying, okay, well, as soon as your kids graduate school, you need to move out of town to live in a senior community somewhere. Go down to Georgetown, Texas, where Sun City is, and live in Sun City and retire there, or into Frisco. Yeah,
I think that's awesome that this is being developed here to just to keep people that love the city here, right? And to follow up on your point, I have 3 kids. My oldest, I mentioned earlier, she's 25, but when she graduated Wylie East, we didn't have Collin College here yet, so she went to Denton UNT, graduated there. And then my son, he graduated 6 years later from Wylie East, and he's actually going to Collin College over here. Yeah. And so he's still at home. He's going to Collin College. It's great to have that school here local for the kids that can that want to go to college over there.
Well, it also helps them gain financial freedom, because we've heard over and over and over again about how the massive debt for college loans is. And
right.
If my kids would have lived at home and went to Collin College, at least for the first 2 years, we wouldn't be anywhere near the college debt, and they wouldn't say, oh, Dad, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
So it truly is a gift that to the city of Wylie to have Collin College in Wylie. And I know that the ISD works alongside Collin College to allow students to attend both during their senior year to get dual credits. And it just, again, that's community loving on each other and making sure that you've got what you need to be equipped to go out into the world if you do decide to leave Wylie.
Oh, that's a great point. I mean, my son's going to graduate 4-year degree from Collin College with zero student debt.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas my daughter, on the other hand, we have some student loans that we have to pay off for her because UNT's not as cost effective as Collin College.
Sure. Yeah. And they live away from home.
Yeah.
So you've got rent. They've got food away from home. And so I think the addition of Collin College, the addition of the senior communities, and there's more than one. There's several around town that have really allowed for people whose parents didn't live here maybe and wanted to be closer to the grandkids.
Oh,
They
yeah.
could also move to Wylie, and now I've got a home in Wylie where I'm closer to my family and my grandkids because, to your point, I love Wylie. I don't want to leave.
Yeah, it's a great city. So what was your experience coordinating between the city council, city manager, and other regional bodies like, the North Texas Water Department or the school district, Wylie ISD?
So during my tenure, I was fortunate enough to be able to serve on a committee that was a liaison committee between the ISD and the city. So we got together quarterly to discuss how we could work together on initiatives that the school district had to ensure that, for instance, school security and safety.
Sure.
That's huge.
Yeah.
The police chief and the fire chief sit on that committee as well. So when we go to meet with the school district, now that committee has gotten huge because it's included Levon and Murphy and Saxe, because we have students from all over those 4 areas coming to Wylie Independent School District. So that speaks volumes about the school district. But at the same time, if we don't all get into one room and communicate together, then what happens inside Wylie stays inside Wylie, and nobody on the outside understands what the needs are and can't budget for them and take care of making sure that bus routes are complete, that the roads are put in place in each one of these cities to allow good transit for school buses, et cetera.
Right. And that's a good point to make. I mean, I think a lot of people may not realize that, the Collin County side of Saxe is in the Wylie School District, right? And then we have a certain area in Levon that's in the Wylie School District. And same with out here in, is it Rockwell? Wait. Murphy, right? Murphy, yeah, that's right. And so, we've got all the neighboring cities that are also funneling into Wylie ISD just based on, how the county's drawn out, right?
Yes.
All right. So, given your involvement in boards and commissions, how important is citizen participation in shaping local policy? Which we touched on this a minute ago, but
it's hugely important, Wes. It's literally another avenue for citizens to connect with the leadership within the city from a staff level and from a council level. Because if we look at the meetings between the city council members, when we get up and meet about a development, we have input not only from staff, but we have input from planning and zoning. We have input from citizens. And those things are all important in helping the council members make a decision that's best for all of our citizens.
yeah, and then I'll go back on my experience on the bond committee. Being able to provide critical feedback to the city council on what the citizens wanted to see the bond money spent on, right? It is a pretty neat thing to do, right? And the open collaboration between the citizens and the city council. I don't know if it's like that in other cities. This was my first experience with that, but I think it's a critical piece in having happy citizens and the growth of the city moving in the right direction.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, the city council is responsible to the taxpayer for the expenditure of taxpayer dollars.
Right.
And we want the taxpayers, we want the citizens to have input. Just like at home, when you get ready to make a decision, I'm sure you say, well, I'm going to go buy a new car, I'm going to go buy a new truck or a boat. It's not you going to do that without having a conversation with the wife and a conversation with the kids to say, hey, what would you like in a fill in the blank?
Right.
So it's important. It's important that citizens get involved on any level that they're comfortable to communicate with city council members, either through staff or through boards and commissions.
Great. That is exactly right. So 2025, we're coming up on the end of your 9th year with city council, right? And so you've made a decision that you're not going to seek another term. So how do you feel about passing the torch to the next person?
So I've answered this question one time before. One of the first people to ask me that question was my wife, because it's after a 9-year investment in time and efforts to ensure that we're listening and we're leading well. The decision was a decision to limit myself, the term limit myself, because my voice had been there for 9 years.
Right.
And as we talked earlier, there was so much growth in the city, right, that it's time for somebody else to get an opportunity to come in and serve. And it's time for me to step back and enjoy all of the things that we've done as a council collectively.
Absolutely. I think that's great. So looking back, which program or achievement gives you the greatest sense of pride?
That's a hard question because 9 years is to flip through the Rolodex and say
Right.
there were so many different things that really impacted my life and that I hope impacted the lives of the citizens. But I think one of the things that when we first decided to run for office, the thing that I heard loud and clear from friends, families, citizens was, hey, Wylie is Wylie. It's small town, big city. And I thought, what? How do you small town, big city? But yet at the same time, I knew we shut down Ballard Street and have festivals where people come out of their homes and come downtown. There were 7,000 to 9,000 people downtown for an event. We've got one of the largest bluegrass festivals in this area every year. It's been in the bluegrass magazines. So when I look back at 9 years, the thing that really makes a huge impact on me is we didn't change Wylie. Wylie's still Wylie, and the community's grown around it. But the people that come here now see the same thing that we saw in 2016, 15, 14, and before that, where we're just a community who loves to come together and support each other. And it was no more evident than right after the election in 2016, the hailstorms came through.
Yeah.
And when the hailstorms came through in 2016 and ravaged our city, all the barriers went down. There was no more, I don't agree with you, so I'm going to stay in my house. Mm-hmm. People were out in the middle of the night helping other people board up windows, put tarps on roofs. And we saw the community come together like it should, like a community should, to support each other. And it just, those kind of moments stand out to me. All the other stuff is stuff, right? That's a requirement of the job to make sure that we're developing with common sense, to make sure that we're moving in a projection that doesn't squash somebody's ability to be a business owner or to open a new business, et cetera.
Exactly. Yeah, it was great to see everybody coming together after that big hailstorm. Everybody quit complaining on the internet, and everybody came together. And it's time. It was a lot of damage and things like that. You hope it brings people together, and it absolutely did here in Wylie.
Sure.
Yeah. So how's your 9-year tenure changed your view of Wylie, and what do you see for its future?
It's funny, it didn't really change my view of Wylie much because I just fell more deeply in love with the citizens and what Wylie really means.
Yeah.
I think that when we look at the future of Wylie, I think the trajectory of development and where we're going as a city is great. One of the things that I think that the leadership of Wylie now has the challenge to do is to create environments that draw people into Wylie as a destination, as well as give the citizens of Wylie places to go that are local instead of having to leave town to go to spend money elsewhere for birthday parties or for entertainment venues, et cetera.
No, I agree with that. My friends joke with me all the time that I never want to leave Wylie, right? So I usually stay in Wylie or only go to cities that touch Wylie, right? Mm-hmm. And so getting me out to go do something somewhere else has been a challenge, but so I get kidded pretty hard about that. But the fact is why if we have it here, why do I need to leave? Right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's great. So what advice would you offer to someone considering a run for local office?
I think one of the things is that if your interest is in giving back to the city, get involved. Get involved at a level where you can immerse yourself in the public service sector, as well as learn more about the governance of the city, how it operates. Go meet with city council members, meet with the mayor, meet with city staff, figure out what it is that you're passionate about, and that's where you give back. If you're passionate about running for office just to run for an office, that's great, and we need people to serve at that level. But to understand the citizens of Wylie before you step into that is so important because the diversity in our city has changed and the trajectory of the city has changed. So to understand everything that goes on here and the community vibe in Wylie will be so beneficial to somebody looking to run for office.
Absolutely. So, Jeff, what's next for you personally? And do we still get to rely on your voice and experience for civic life?
So what's next? This weekend on Sunday, I made a soft announcement that I'm entering the race for Texas House of Representatives, HD 89. That's the district that serves Wylie, Lavon, Nevada, Lowry Crossing, a little sliver of Royce City. I'd like to be your voice in Austin. I've been listening and hearing comments on the street about how important it is to lead in the same manner for a larger constituency, to make sure that the voice is from the people and not from lobbyists, et cetera, in Austin.
So how do you think your experience on city council is going to transition into the more of a state representative or
Sure.
in the aspect?
Again, I think it has to do more about the willingness to serve people and serve people well, listening to constituents and understanding the hurdles that we face in the microcosm that is HD 89, and understanding where it fits into the mold of the rest of the state, but without losing the vision and the viewpoint of the constituency inside the district.
Absolutely. So that was our big announcement. You heard it here, not first probably, but you heard it here. So that's great, Jeff. So I'm out of questions. And do you have anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap up?
No, if you're interested in finding out more about our mission and where we're headed with the campaign, you can visit us at forrester4texas.com. That's FORRESTER, FORTexas.com. The platforms are there. If you'd like to set up any kind of meeting or discuss what's for our future, please don't hesitate to reach out.
That's right, Wylie. We got a potential local Wylie resident running for state government. So that's huge. Jeff, again, we appreciate you coming on to the podcast. And it was nice getting to know you and the audience getting to know you as well. And so that's it. We'll see you later.
Thanks for tuning in to the Live, Love, Wylie podcast. If you're watching on one of the social media channels and watching a reel, we would love to watch the full episode. Head over to YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe there. We appreciate you following, and we'll see you next time.